Hi, I'm Kyle Pennypacker, and welcome back to Penny Prepper. In today's video, we're going to be discussing PEMA's top 10 disasters to prepare for. But before we get started today, I'm going to ask that you like the video, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and share with any like-minded folk. So right off the bat, I'm going to start out by stating the obvious, and I'm basing my disaster list off the Pennsylvania Emergency Management Agency's top 10 disaster list. But just because it's Pennsylvania's list doesn't mean that it can't correlate to your local area. So the list that they have starts off with flood, followed by fire, winter storms, tropical storms and high wind, flu pandemic, hazmat, earthquake and landslides, nuclear threats, dam disasters, and terrorism. We'll start out by discussing why these top 10 are the top 10 for Pennsylvania, and maybe this can help you determine what your local area's top 10 possible disasters may be. Just because they list these 10 does not mean other disasters aren't possible. A great example is in the cities during the summer, temperatures can rise over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and the heat wave is very deadly for the young and elderly. And that can cause rolling blackouts, heat-related illness, and a few summers back we did have a heat wave hit, especially in Philadelphia, which caused blackouts and some deaths. Pennsylvania is a forested, hilly, and shallow mountain area with valleys and rivers running everywhere. Natural disasters such as flood, fire, landslides, and earthquakes, winter storms, tropical storms, and such come from our unique location. Being the Keystone State, we're the bottleneck of the Northeast. We have the fourth largest city in the U.S., seaports, forests, mountains, and the name Pennsylvania actually means Penn's Woods, after William Penn. The Appalachian Mountains run through the majority of the state, which means landslides, floods, and earthquakes are something we always need to be aware of, as the potential is there. Winter storms, because we're so far north, and also have the Great Lakes dumping snow on us. Tropical storms, because we have the Atlantic Ocean to our east, and still have areas just flat enough for tornadoes. First on the list is going to be floods, which is pretty much anywhere that it rains can have issues from flooding, as well as anywhere that is at a lower elevation than where the rain actually falls. Flooding is typically either caused by too much rain too quickly or a normal amount of rain over a longer period of time that can't be saturated into the soil, or the soil becomes oversaturated from long-term rain. And excessive rain and flooding can also lead to things like landslides, which is one of the other top 10 categories. It's easy to look online and find out if your home is in a floodplain, or just simply by looking at the way that the water flows whenever there is a large rainstorm. Additionally, just like in New Orleans, there may be a mechanical feature that keeps your area from actually flooding. And during excessive rain or grid down situations, these could very well possibly fail. Next on the list is fire. That can happen pretty much in any home because with the electricity running through the walls, there's always potential. The two types of fire that we're going to emphasize is personal home fires, and then also things like wildfires or outside fires that would typically catch your home or property on fire. In the event of your home catching on fire on its own, typically that won't affect other homes unless they are directly attached or very close in proximity. And at the same time, if your home is attached to somebody else's house, hopefully they don't have any issues with their home catching on fire, because that very well could spread to yours. Wildfires are something natural or man-made, but can be created accidentally or on purpose by human beings or naturally occurring. A lot of times out west, the fires are started by humans, accidents such as throwing a lit cigarette out of the window, or even a power line falling and creating a spark. Wildfires can grow rapidly, spread across vast amounts of land, jump roads, and even travel miles from where the actual fire is due to hot embers in the air. Next on the list is going to be winter storms, which Pennsylvania and the Northeast really took a beating from this year. This year, we had a cold snap and lots of snow. Not necessarily in Pennsylvania, but in Buffalo, New York, I believe they received about 4 feet of snow, either overnight or within 2 days, as well as 0 degree Fahrenheit temperatures. The snow you must worry about due to the fact that excessive weight from the snow on your roof can actually collapse your roof, as well as block ventilation and cause CO buildup, which can be deadly. And to add on to that, below 0 degree Fahrenheit temperatures, coupled with the wind and needing to move on foot, can cause hypothermia and even frostbite very rapidly. Another thing a lot of people don't think about during winter storms is if the electricity goes out due to excessive snow on the wires, you may lose the ability to heat your home and your pipes may freeze and burst. A lot of people that aren't used to colder weather climates, that can cause thousands of dollars in damage. I know during the Texas freeze the other year, that happened to a lot of people because they had no idea to turn their water off. Next, we have tropical storms and wind. Typically, we're talking about hurricanes as well as tornadoes depending on your home. You may get away with little to no structural damage, or if the wind catches your home and roof just right, you could very easily lose your roof, causing almost a complete loss of your home. Not only can this be dangerous, but it can also cause structural integrity issues, but you also have to worry about debris in the air. I believe sometimes the winds can reach over 400 miles an hour, which if you get hit by something like a twig, it could very easily impale you, if not unalive you. Next on the list is influenza and pandemics. I'm not going to go into detail on this one, but obviously since 2020, we should all know and realize that this can affect anywhere, anytime, and just about anyone. Next on the list is hazardous materials, hazmat. This may be something that you have to do your own research on, but knowing locations of rail yards, shipping docks, and maybe chemical companies is where you would come into your own preps. Trains, ships, chemical facilities can catch on fire the same way a home can or an automobile. A train containing hazardous material catching on fire traveling near you or your home can cause an evacuation of the area, chemical spills, or even explosions. This actually just occurred in Ohio. I believe it was eastern Ohio, where everywhere within a mile radius of the hazardous material spill had to be immediately evacuated, and then the areas surrounding were actually given shelter-in-place orders. I'm sure a lot of you have seen the videos online, and if not, I highly recommend checking them out. It looks like end of days type of stuff. Next is earthquakes and landslides. In Pennsylvania, we have mountains, which means that there is a tectonic plate in the area which shifts and creates those mountains. The Appalachian Mountains are much older than the mountains out west. However, they still do shift and create earthquakes, however, not as severe as out west. With Pennsylvania having so many mountains, hills, valleys, there is an opportunity for flash flooding, and with that, landslides, though they are rare. Typically, Pennsylvania sees earthquakes around about 2.0 or less on the Richter scale, which you barely feel. Anything over 3 to 4 is where you start to notice and actually feel it. Next on the list is going to be a nuclear threat. Online, they don't really show this as being from a nuclear bomb. However, this can be lumped in with that, or terrorism. In Pennsylvania, we currently have 8 active nuclear plants, and for each one, PEMA does have detailed plans in case one of these has a meltdown or critical incident. Unfortunately, Pennsylvania has already had a meltdown at one of their nuclear plants at 3 Mile Island, not too far from Harrisburg. I believe that they learned a lot and that they needed to prepare for this type of incident. It is one of those things where Pennsylvania is well known for being one of a few places in the United States to actually have a meltdown. Granted, it was not a full meltdown like Chernobyl, however, it did occur. Next on the list is going to be dams. This is something that if you are downriver from a dam or you're in the flow path, you probably already know and you're aware. Other places that rely on dams to reroute water, prevent drought, and even obtain electricity from hydroelectrics These may be more of an issue of off-grid sustainability, or they can fail during grid down incidents. Either way, most dams in the United States or worldwide are aging and probably have some sort of structural integrity issues. The best thing to do is see when the dam was built, see if you're in the flow path, and then create a plan for if there is a heavy or long-term rain situation, or let's say that there is flash flooding in the area. That may be a time to evacuate. Last on the list is going to be terrorism. Anybody growing up since 2001 has learned about or lived through the events of September 11th. For the most part, the United States has gotten pretty lucky at avoiding such acts. However, there are still people out there who would like to cause damage and chaos to the country. And they should still always be on the back burner of everybody's mind. Additionally, with terrorism, I'm going to lump in something with that I saw on FEMA's website. They put cyber terrorism, which, when you think about it, it's not necessarily a natural or some sort of disaster, but I would lump it in with terrorism, obviously. Even hacking, because that can cause grid down situations and really cause a lot of havoc with our infrastructure. All right, that's all we have for today's video. If there's anything you would like to see me post in the future, please comment and let me know. Stay safe and stay prepared.